morning and a very warm welcome. You are watching Janata Television and this is English Bulletin with me, Yutsa Bhadrai. The top stories first. 15 killed in Sindhu Palchuk bus accident. The passengers were returning after a pilgrimage to Kalanchok. Lawmakers claim Nepal importing medicines are not certified by WHO. Health experts assure vaccines not used for experimental purpose. Standing Committee meeting of NCP held after a year. The meeting to discuss party's statute amendment. 6 dead in India and rest. Protest against Indian citizenship law continues. And Pakistani batsman achieves a record in drawn test. Pakistan hosts a first home match after 2009 Sri Lanka attacks. And now the news in detail. 15 persons were killed yesterday when a passenger bus met with an accident in Shunkosi rural municipality of Sindhu Palchok district. The accident took place at a bend when the bus with a registration number BA4K 4468 skidded off the road and fell 500 meters below at a Chakilo area of Shunkosi rural municipality. All the deceased were returning to Bhaktapur after a pilgrimage to Kalinchok temple in Dolakha district. The accident also left 19 others injured. Among the dead, 9 are women, 3 men and 3 children. The deceased have been identified as 28-year-old Shuka Bahadur Tamang of Jugal village in Sindhu Palchok 7, Sabina Tamang 7, Roshini Tamang 15, Manju Tamang 28 and Reshma Tamang 30. Likewise, Gangamaya Lama 55 of Lishanku Pakhar of Sindhu Palchok and Fulmaya Tamang 35 of Balefi of same district were also killed on the accident. Others killed in the accident have been identified as 10-year-old Rajit Basnet of Sailung, Dolkha, Chinu Basnet 32, Lakshmi Shrestha 42 of Bhimeshwar municipality in Dolkha, Mahesh Tamang 24 of Umakunda village in Ramechhap, Ram Sharan Khatri 36 of Bethan village in Kavre and Maya Kesi 35. The identities of 2 victims are yet to be ascertained, police informed. 14 injured passengers are undergoing treatment at Kathmandu-based Hams Hospital, 2 at KMC, 3 at Dhulikhel Hospital and 1 at Khadichor-based Sadabahar Hospital. Lawmakers have raised concerns that the medicines and vaccines imported from China, Indonesia and Bangladesh are not certified by the World Health Organization. Speaking at a meeting of the Education and Health Committee of the Lower House yesterday, former Health Minister Khagaraj Adhikari claimed that the medicines bought from those countries are not certified by the World Health Organization. He also drew the attention of the committee members that the government has not maintained proper temperature required for vaccines while they are supplied to the rural areas. He said that such vaccines would not be effective if the right temperature is not maintained.
हामीसँग चीनको पनि औषधि पनि भ्याक्सिन पनि इन्डोनेसियाको पनि ती भ्याक्सिन पनि के छन् भने WHO GMP सर्टिफाइड छैन चीनको पनि छैन इन्डोनेसियाको पनि छैन तर कति बंगलादेशको पनि छैन BCG भ्याक्सिनै तपाईको मुलुकमा थिएन.
Chairperson of the committee, Jaipuri Kharti, underscored the need to research on the standard of medicines used in Nepal.
पाठेघरको क्यान्सर सम्बन्धी चाहिँ खोपको कुरा गर्नुभएको छ. यो आयो एकदम राम्रो छ. योलाई पनि एकदम बढी नै कार्यान्वयनमा लानुपर्ने मैले देख्छु. यदि धेरै महिलाहरूले उपचार गर्छ यो सम्बन्धी क्यान्सर पनि बढी नै भइरहेछ. योलाई कसरी कार्यान्वयनमा लाने भन्ने विषयमा सोचौं.
During the meeting, health experts stated that the vaccines are not used for experimental purpose in the country. They claimed that the same vaccines widely used in other countries are used in Nepal. The Standing Committee meeting of Nepal Communist Party has kicked off from yesterday. The meeting, called after a year, also approved a 5-work list the same day. The Standing Committee meeting will resume later today. The meeting will discuss amending the statute of the ruling party and also review the works of the government. Co-chairman of Nepal Communist Party Pushpa Kamal Dahal also presented his political report at the meeting held at the party headquarters in Dhumbarai. The meeting passed the work list on Nepal-India border dispute, holding Central Committee meeting and amending the party statute. Speaking at the meeting, NCP leader Bhim Rawal said it was unfortunate that the party was not able to hold a Standing Committee meeting for over a year. Meanwhile, Standing Committee member Ashtalakshmi Shakya said that the party's failure to hold meeting for a year hints at the weakness of the party leadership. NCP leader Subhash Nembang said the meeting will be held for 3 days. Meanwhile, another Standing Committee member Chabilal Bishwakarma said that the meeting will finalize the party's vice president and also complete the unification of the party's sister organization. The meeting was held for 2 hours yesterday. It will resume at 11 a.m. today. The meeting will focus on 5 agendas to be presented by Co-Chairman Dahal and General Secretary Bishnu Paudel. This is Janata Bulletin. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back after the break. We continue with other national news. Internal conflict within the main opposition party, Nepali Congress, has surfaced once again after senior leader Ramchandra Paudel and his panel boycotted the party's Central Committee meeting yesterday. Paudel panel reportedly left the meeting citing a failure of establishment faction to fix the date of the General Convention. Nepali Congress spokesperson Bishwa Prakash Sharma, however, said internal discussions and interactions have been taking place for executing the agendas discussed in the meeting. Spokesperson Sharma also claimed that the agendas presented in the meeting will only be passed after unanimous agreement from all sides. Sharma opined that it is the responsibility of the party's election committee to come forward with a work plan for the General Convention, while the Central Committee is only responsible for fixing the date for the General Convention. On a different note, the meeting also mourned the deaths of the passengers killed in Sunday morning's accident in Sindhupalchok. The party has demanded proper treatment of the injured. The meeting also demanded formation of a high-level committee for the investigation of Thanusha bomb blast.
आज नेपाली कांग्रेस पार्टीले बितेको 2 महिनामा भएका महत्त्वपूर्ण ठूला दुर्घटना जुन ठूला दुर्घटनाको आकारमा चाहिँ धेरै मृत्यु भएको घटनाहरूलाई चाहिँ सूचीकृत गर्दै सरकार समक्ष चाहिँ सडक दुर्घटना न्यूनीकरण गर्ने सन्दर्भमा सडकको जीवनलाई सुरक्षित बनाउने सन्दर्भमा सरकार गम्भीर बनोस् भन्ने अपील गरेको छ.
The meeting also demanded the government to pay attention to improve the condition of roads in order to reduce the number of accidents. Keshav Prasad Bhattrai, chairman of the Film Development Board of Nepal, passed away yesterday. Bhattrai died on the way to hospital. He breathed his last at 10:20 p.m. while being rushed to the Om Hospital after complaining of health problems. Bhattrai was also a renowned producer as well as an actor in Nepali cinema industry. Nepali film Yatra was Bhattrai's recent venture as a producer. Most of the cinemas Bhattrai produced have been commercially successful. Bhattrai had been appointed as the chairman of a film development board last year. He has been credited for uplifting the status of Nepali cinema during his tenure at the office. Bhattrai was active in the Nepali movie industry since 3 decades. Bhattrai produced Nepali cinemas such as Chhodi Gaye Paap Lagla, Afno Manche, Karma Yodha and Devar Babu. His last rituals will be performed today at Pasupati Aryaghat. And now the news from Economic Front. Domestic airline company Sita Air has started direct flights from Chandragadi Airport in Bhadrapur to Suketar Airport of Taplejung. The new flight destination has been launched to facilitate pilgrims to visit eastern Nepal's popular pilgrimage site Patibhara Temple and for supporting the government's Visit Nepal 2020 campaign, said Ramadhikari, Bhadrapur station manager of Sita Air. The flight has been launched starting from today morning. A chartered flight took off from Suketar to Bhadrapur as there were no regular passengers in the inaugural flight. Purna Chudal, chief of the Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal at Chandragadi Airport, informed that a week-long schedule has already been framed for Taplejung flights. The first flight took off at 6:30 in the morning today. Devotees can also avail helicopter service from Suketar Airport to Patibhara, informed Chudal. Time for a short break here at Janata Bulletin. Stay tuned for international news. Welcome back. Now the international news. Angry protesters in northeast India vowed yesterday to keep demonstrating against a contentious citizenship law as the death toll from bloody clashes opposing the bill rose to 6, AFP reported. Tensions remained high at the epicenter of the unrest in Assam state's biggest city, Guwahati, with troops patrolling the streets amidst tight security. In Assam, 4 people died after being shot by police, while another was killed when a shop he was sleeping in was set on fire, and a 6th after he was beaten up during a protest, AFP quoted officials as saying. Some 5,000 people took part in a fresh demonstration in the city yesterday, while hundreds of police watching as they sang, chanted and carried banners with words, "Long live Assam." The legislation passed by the National Parliament on Wednesday allows New Delhi to grant a citizenship to millions of illegal immigrants who entered India from 3 neighbouring countries on or before December 31st, 2014, but not if they are Muslims. Besides stoking concern among Muslims, the proposed changes have also led to demonstrations by residents unhappy about an influx of Hindus from neighbouring Bangladesh who stand to gain citizenship. A handful of major states resisted pressure yesterday to ramp up efforts to combat global warming as the UN Climate Summit came to a close, Reuters reported. This has angered smaller countries and a growing protest movement that is pushing for emergency actions. According to Reuters, the COP25 talks in Madrid were viewed as a test of governments' collective will to heed the advice of science to cut greenhouse gases emissions more rapidly in order to prevent a rising global temperatures from hitting irreversible tripping points. But the conference, in its concluding draft, endorsed only a declaration of the urgent need to close the gap between existing emissions pledges and the temperature goals of the landmark 2015 Paris Climate Agreement. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres termed the outcome disappointing. Brazil, China, Australia, Saudi Arabia and the United States had led a resistance to bolder action, delegates said. Albanian prosecutors have issued a series of arrest warrants on charges including murder and abuse of office over the deaths of 51 people killed when a 6.4 magnitude earthquake toppled dozens of buildings last month, Reuters reported. According to the news agency, police and prosecutors said initial investigations showed the loss of life in the collapsed buildings came also because their builders, engineers and owners had failed to observe the rules, norms and standards of safe constructions. Prosecutors issued 17 warrants in total, police said. 2 of the 9 people detained on Saturday on murder charges were the owners of 2 hotels that collapsed, killing 4 people in Durrës, Albania's second biggest city and main port. A third was the manager of a police vacation hotel where a high-ranking police officer was killed under the rubble. During the 3 decades since toppling communism in 1990, many Albanians have moved near cities, squatting on land and building with little supervision by authorities. You are watching Janata Bulletin and now the latest from the world of sports. Abid Ali became the first batsman to score hundreds on both Test and One-Day debuts as the Pakistan's first home match in long form of the game since the 2009 attack on visiting Sri Lanka team ended in a team draw against the same opponents yesterday. On 95, the 32-year-old hit paceman Vishwa Fernando for a boundary and then drove him through cover for 2 to complete his 100, AFP reported. He raised his hands in jubilation before kneeling on the ground to offer a prayer of gratitude. His 100 came in 267 minutes, laced with 11 boundaries, and was the highlight of a test badly affected by bad weather. Pakistan finished at 252 with stylish batsman Babar Azam knocking his third test century with a boundary off spinner Dilruwan Pereira. Azam ended with 102 not out, which came in 151 minutes of punishing battling spiced by 14 crisp boundaries. Australia recorded one of the biggest wins over New Zealand on the fourth day of the first test at Perth Stadium yesterday. Having trailed by 250 runs on the first innings, the Kiwis were set a mammoth 460 to win, which would have been a record chest in Test cricket on a deteriorating pitch after Australia declared at 217 for 9 in the second innings. The visitors were never in contention after losing the first wicket with just 6 runs on board and were unable to push the match into a fifth day after Michelle Stark and Pat Cummins cleaned up the Kiwi field under lights in Perth's first ever day-night test. New Zealand were dismissed for 171 and were beaten by 296 runs. The last 5 wickets falling in a hurry for just 17 runs. It was just 1 run shy of the biggest losing margin to Australia in runs in a match where both teams battled twice. Australia's biggest win other than innings victories was 297 runs in Auckland in 1974. We are at the end of Janata Bulletin and the headlines once again. 15 killed in Sindhupalchok bus accident. The passengers were returning after a pilgrimage to Kalanchok. Lawmakers claimed Nepal importing medicines not certified by WHO. Health experts assure vaccines not used for experimental purpose. Standing Committee meeting of NCP held after a year. The meeting to discuss party's statute amendment. 6 dead in India unrest. Protest against Indian citizenship law continues. And Pakistani batsman achieves a record in drawn test. Pakistan hosts first home match after 2009 Sri Lanka attacks. And that's all from the English News Desk for today. You can follow Janata Television and our programs on various social media platforms, including on our website janatasamachar.com. Keep watching Janata Television. Namaste.